Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Summer 2025 Mastermind. I'm really excited to mastermind with you. Thanks for joining us. You might be asking, what's a mastermind? Oh, very good question. A mastermind is a time that like-minded people come together to master something together, master content. So what we're going to do is actually kind of going to be like a book club on steroids, because we're going to master the new book, Winners Are Quitters, The Art of Thinking Differently. Have you bought your book yet? If you haven't bought the book, definitely go to the show notes and click on the link to purchase your book, because every week we're going to have a different assignment, a different number of chapters to read. And when I come back together with you, I'm going to dig into the content even a little deeper. We're going to maybe even ask some questions that aren't in the book to help relate and apply the content to your life. So thank you for joining us. I hope that you come back every single week and even go back and listen to the old episodes if you missed any. I'm excited to learn and grow with you. Thank you for joining me again this week. Welcome to our mastermind, our virtual mastermind. I'm Kathy Rhodes, and my whole goal is to challenge you to think differently. So we are masterminding this book, Winners Are Quitters. If you've not bought it yet, make sure you go grab it and make sure you're reading it. Read the chapters before you tune into these mastermind sessions. This week we're going to dive right into chapters 2 and chapters 3. Chapter 2, Small Quitting. That's the name of the chapter, Small Quitting. So for starters, get your book out and turn to page 7. We're gonna start at the last chapter, or I'm sorry, the last page and a half of this chapter, and then we're gonna work backwards. So chapter 7, at the very bottom of this page, I ask you 2 questions. Do you pause when you read these questions, and do you think about your answers? For me personally, I need to get my journal out, my notebook. I have a notebook that I use with certain books, and I have to write down my answers. Otherwise, my brain just doesn't think, I guess. It just keeps reading. Well, what good is the book, really? What value are you really getting if you're not going to reflect a little bit? So here, just as a reminder, I want you to even pause this video and give yourself time to write down your answers. Question number 1, how easily do you quit? How easily do you quit? Are you a fast quitter? Are you a slow quitter? Do you persist through until it really hurts and quitting's obvious? Do you not even put any energy into it? Maybe there's some things that you fast quit and some things you slow quit. I don't know. I do know, because that's the way I am. There's some things that I'm like, yeah, I'm not even trying, I'm done. And there's other things that I'm persistent. So how easily do you quit? Question number 2, how often do you practice the same approach over and over again with no success? Isn't that the definition of insanity? How often do you practice the same approach over and over again with no success? And again, maybe it's one answer for one thing and another answer for another. When you're writing your answers here, give yourself some examples. Think through, when are you one way? When are you the other way? You know what? Why? Why even answer these questions? Why even journal your answer? Why even take time to think about it? Well, that's a good question too, isn't it? Let's add that question to this week's mastermind. Why are we doing this? Why are we thinking it? Why can't I just read the book for the good story? Because we're humans. Because we want to grow. We want to learn. We want to learn from our mistakes. We want to learn from other people's mistakes. Oh, I just gave you an answer. Sorry, that's not the goal. The goal is that we find our own answers. But there's a possibility of an answer for you. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. We're going to have some reflection time. All right, so question number 2, I want you to think back on a time where you were totally stuck in a project or in an approach. I'm not talking about a big project or a big event. I'm talking about smaller projects, because this is the little quitting chapter, the small quitting chapter. So think of a time when you were stuck. You were stuck on a project, you were stuck in an approach. What small quit could have helped you? You know, we're always smarter later in life. If I would have only known then what I know now, what can you see now? What small quit could have helped you? So I used to work in the computer programming world, and this was back in 1999. So if you were alive or if you know anything about history, this was the year of Y2K. We were busy reprogramming a ginormous computer system to accommodate for the new year, the new millennium. And we were mandated to work 80 hours a week. Plus, I had 2 toddlers and a 6-month-old at home. Well, I don't know. I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. Are those toddlers? They were all under the age of 5. I was a young mom. Let's just say my brain was exhausted every day. And it wasn't just when I went home at night. It was in the middle of the day while I was sitting there working. Suddenly I would just go blank. And it was a thing with us programmers. We all got there. And we had this inside joke where we just friendly reminded each other, you know, maybe you need a bathroom break. You know why we reminded each other of that? Well, of course there's the need, but amazing answers came to every one of us when we were in the bathroom. Now, today I understand that that's our subconscious kicking in. You know, it's kind of like when you lose something and you look everywhere for it and you're racking your brain, where did I leave it? And then when you're not thinking about it is when you find it. Or when you're not thinking about it, you think of the name you were trying to think of. When you're not thinking about it, you think of how to fix the code that you were working on. Oh yeah, many answers came to me in the bathroom. Is that TMI? Maybe. But it's a great example of what was the little thing that I should have quit. You know, when your brain is stuck, walk away from it. Walk away. Stop thinking about it. That's how we figure out our answers. So what's your answer? What are your examples? Make sure you're writing down your personal stories that you're relating to this content. Okay. Question number 3 is going to take us back to page 5. Page 5 is the very first page of the chapter. So at the very bottom of the chapter, bottom of the page, it is the last chapter here on this page, I talk about something called the sunk cost fallacy. Here's the definition of sunk cost fallacy. It's where a person is reluctant to abandon a course of action because they've invested heavily. Maybe you've invested money or time or energy, whatever it is. Have you ever been caught in a sunk cost fallacy where you just kept going because of what you've already invested? What would you do differently now? What would you do differently today? You know, for me, something that I heavily invested in was my college degree. I have a Bachelor of Science in Accounting. I was stuck in the sunk cost fallacy. Don't get me wrong, I love numbers. I love to calculate and crunch numbers and create graphs, and I'm all about a good spreadsheet. But accounting is not what I was meant to get my degree in. I should have seen it in the moment because my grades weren't the best. I was an honor student in high school, and accounting did not give me honor grades. And then I attempted to take the CPA exam, the Certified Public Accounting exam, and if I wasn't already humbled, that did me in. I failed miserably at that. I wish I wasn't so caught up in what I had invested, and I wish I would have changed my degree. Now, I know why I didn't, because the people who changed their degree 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times, well, they drove me crazy. You know what? Make up your mind. I was amazed. The end of my sophomore year, I had some friends change their degree, and I thought, what a waste of 2 years. Seriously, what a waste of your time and energy. I guess that was the accountant in me, thinking about efficiencies and wise investments, and I was stuck in that sunk cost fallacy. So what would I do differently now? Well, I'd change my degree, probably to maybe psychology or communications, or maybe even brain science. I don't know about that one, maybe. Look back on our previous activities and learn from them, grow from them, right? You know, I know what it felt like to be in the sunk cost fallacy. I didn't know at the time what I was in, but I know now what it felt like. So now I need to pay attention when I feel like that again. All right, next question. I think we're up to question 3, I think. What small habit, task, or routine no longer serves you and you need to be released from it? You need to be released from it. What small habit, task, or routine no longer serves you and you need to be released? You know, maybe it's looking at your phone before you go to bed, or looking at your phone the first thing in the morning, or answering emails the first thing that you wake up. I mean, these are things that do not do your body good. They do not do your brain good. They are very unhealthy. We need time away from it. But, you know, these are small habits. These are small tasks. These are small routines that aren't serving us. Just give it a try, a day or two without it, and see how life is for you. Okay, question number 5. Last question that I have for you. How easily do you recognize when it's time to quit? Or when it's time to shift your method or your mindset or your routine? How easily do you recognize that? You know, for me, I don't recognize it easily. I fight my ideas and my thoughts. I fight the facts until it is obvious. And of course, in the book, I give some examples. But another example that came to mind while I was figuring out these questions to ask you is just my mindset shift toward things like health and food and chemicals that the farmers use to grow the food. I remember in the early 2000s, so we're talking 20 years ago, I remember having a friend over, and she was a new graduate with a degree in engineering, and we were having a snack, and I got out the apples, and she's like, oh, wash those, scrub those good. And I'm like, you know, just rub it on my shirt a little bit, just spit shine it, spit clean it, you know, it's good, a little dirt won't hurt us. She says it's not the dirt, it's the chemicals that are used, that are sprayed on our foods to keep the bugs away. I'm like, oh, really? You know, they're not gonna give us things that are gonna hurt us. They're not gonna sell things that are gonna hurt us. They're eating this food too, right? Oh, now let's fast forward 20 years. I mean, these are the things that I've said in my life that come back to haunt me. Talk about a mindset shift. Now I'm like, soak those babies in vinegar water and make sure we scrub it with a cleaning brush. And oh, now I'm more aware. I'm more wise, maybe, and I'm definitely more humbled. Where do you need a mindset shift? Okay, let's move right into chapter 3. Chapter 3, the title is, Why is Quitting So Important? I kind of alluded to this earlier in this episode. You know, why? Why should I entertain quitting? Why is it so important to think about quitting? So question number 1 that I have for you is, what in your current life totally drains your energy, but you continue to do it out of habit or fear? What in your current life drains your energy, but you continue to do it out of habit or fear? The first thing that comes to mind for me is email. How much time do you spend in your day looking at email, responding to email, sorting through email, deleting email? Oh, talk about an energy drain. But I have to. I mean, I have a fear of missing out, or I have a fear of not getting back to a potential client fast enough, or a current client, and it's just my habit. I just have it open on a third screen. I have it open so I constantly know when new messages come in, or I have a ding on my phone or an alert on my phone. It's draining my energy for sure. Maybe I need to rethink that one. Maybe I need to treat email like a project. I'm not going to ignore it all day. I'm just going to look at it when I'm done. I mean, take this podcast right now. I'm recording a podcast. I do not want any interruptions of dings or vibrations, especially dog barkings. I don't need any of that, right? I'm focused in right here with you. I'm focused on recording this episode and giving you something to think about differently. My mind has to be here. Do you give yourself that space during the day? Okay, so my next question then, I don't know, question 3. I should really number my questions better. Where in your life do you need to give yourself permission to redirect? Maybe it means you need to give yourself permission to quit, but maybe it means you need to give yourself permission to change your habit or create a new system or a new boundary or a new tool. You know, for me, something else that drains my energy is processing the podcast. Some admin work that I have, some administrative work that I have. Here's another one, learning new technology. I love new technology, but holy cow, you gotta invest some time. You gotta watch some videos, you gotta get online and ask for help, you need to invest time. So where do I need to give myself permission to redirect? I need to hire people to help me. You know, these areas I can do it, but it's not my strength zone and it's not my focus. So when I decided to hire my friend Lori to help me in the administrative world, that's her zone. Oh, that is her focus, that is her strength spot. And not only can she do it just as good as me, she does it better, and she brings other ideas that I never thought of. And then she said, you know, processing your podcast is not exactly my strength zone. So we found Felix. Thank you, Felix, for being in your strength zone. Every week he processes the podcast. He does all the back end magic that, yeah, I can figure out that software and we can do it, but man, he does it better. When we give ourselves permission to redirect, maybe it means I quit something to have somebody else do better. And isn't that the case? When I make these big decisions, it definitely turns out better. All right, next question that I have for you. We'll call it question number 4. How has not quitting something affected your mental or emotional health? Whew. So first of all, go back and think about something you haven't quit or you did not quit easily. How did it affect your mental or emotional health? For me, I go back to the days when I worked in corporate America, and you can read about some of those stories in the book. There was definitely stress when I worked in corporate America, rightfully so. I mean, you're working for somebody else, you're trying to figure out how to deliver what they want. You're not working your vision, you're not working your business, you're working somebody else's. That's just stressful. And when we have stress, we release a chemical in our brain called cortisol. By the way, it doesn't just stay in our brain, it goes throughout our whole body, and that creates stress on all of our organs. It helps us, if we want to call it help, it causes us to gain weight. It causes us to be inflamed. Oh, the stress was not good on my body. My mental health, my emotional health. I remember having, toxic thoughts. I remember spending a lot of my hours in a day still thinking about work. Even when I was at home, even when I was at an event for my kids, even when I was with people that I loved and wanted to be with, it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for my family. When are those examples for you? What can you define that was happening in your body that you can pay attention to in the future? For me, I remember getting home and being so consumed with stuff at work, I took up running because I needed to wear out my brain. I needed to go for a run and just exhaust my brain so that I would stop thinking about work. That's a dead giveaway. that we need to think differently. Okay, final question. Question number 5. What is one instance where quitting led you to grow and to reinvent yourself? Just one instance, but maybe you have multiple instances. What are some instances where quitting led you to grow and reinvent yourself? You know, here's the thing with our brain. We're not just going to quit and do nothing. That's not how we work as human beings. We're going to find something else to fill our time, something else to be good at. You know, for me as a pilot, as an accountant, a computer programmer, sales, many, many jobs, I quit. So all of those examples was a time when I had the opportunity to reinvent myself. Some of those examples were not happy quittings, but yet I can look back at them now and say, yeah, that's okay. That's all good. Okay, last question. I know I said that before. This really is the last question. On pages 12 and 13, the very end of chapter 3, there is a list of 5 items there on page 12 and 13. And what these items are is, these are reasons why quitting could be important. So I'm going to read you the list, but my question to you is which of these reasons do you really need to embrace and think into now, today, in your life? Reason number 1, it frees you from unproductive situations. Number 2, redirection toward better opportunities. Number 3, mental and emotional health. Number 4, recognizing your limits. And number 5, allow for reinvention. There's a little paragraph to go with each of these items that you can read through to kind of spark your thoughts about yourself. But you know what? Which of these, just one reason, do you really need to embrace and think into for wherever you are in today's world? All right, I promise that next week I'm going to get better at numbering my questions so that I know at least where we're at in this list of questions. But there's an assignment for you as well. The assignment is that you need to read chapters 4 and 5. 2 more chapters to read for next week. Read chapters 4 and 5, and definitely make sure you're subscribed to whatever channel you're listening to this week's episode, and your notifications are turned on so that you know when we drop the next Mastermind podcast or audio or video, I should say. We don't want you to miss out on any of these updates. And you know what? Even share it with a friend. Oh my gosh, how fun would that be if you're both reading the same book, you're going through the same questions, you're answering it with each other. Okay, so if you don't have a friend, I want to hear from you too. Please comment, send me messages, tell me where you're at with reading the book, absorbing the book, and relating the book to you. I can't wait to hear from you. And I'll see you next week, chapters 4 and 5. Till then, be great, my friends. I hope this topic has challenged you to think differently as you strive to grow from success to world class. Please follow this podcast, share it with your friends, and follow me and Unity Consulting on all social platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our website, unityconsultingllc.com. I look forward to connecting with you next time to challenge your habits so that you are more efficient and fully empowered.